Okay. All right. Let me wait for a bit. Let it. Okay. All right. I finally got this set up. It looks like my volume is right. It's working. I see the dots moving up, the dotted lines as I speak. So, in this live stream, I haven't. I like to maybe just go once a week or so, depending on what's going on or in my mind or what I'm thinking or what I hear. Um, and one of the things that I keep seeing online is Billie Eilish talking about stolen land when she accepted an award for her music. And the stolen land thing, Pinky Twinkie, hey, good to see you. Hope you're doing well. I'm volume is good. Thank you, sweetheart. Sorry, it's just me calling you sweetheart. It's over the years that we've connected with each other. So yes. So Pinky Twinkie, do you know about Billie Eilish and her comment, or do you know her music? Because to be honest with you, she sings great. She's a beautiful singer, and she is beautiful. I'm 52. I don't go for 20. She's 24 years old. I don't go for 24 years old, 24-year-old women. But that comment that she made was kind of cool in a way. But then I thought about it afterwards because the reason I thought it was cool because um stolen land, and I've talked about how um when I was in school, and I'm talking about my own life experience. When I was a kid, and I read the history book, it said Christopher Columbus discovered, and the main word, the operative word is discovered. Discovered, meaning nobody ever saw that before. How do you discover a piece of land when there's people living there already? And I've talked about this. So her comment of you cannot be an immigrant, which is false. Okay, so she was okay. Let me backtrack. Let me talk about a little bit about my research about her. She's 24 years old. She was born on in December, which is after 9/11. So she doesn't know anything about 9/11 and Freemasonry. She's popular. She's a celebrity. She makes millions of dollars, right? She has a mansion, and she made a statement. Let me go right to it. She made a statement that said, "You can't be an immigrant on stolen land." She lives on stolen land. You have to be careful when you say this as a millionaire because now the Tonga tribe, I think it's called, they're going after her in court, admitting she on camera admitted she has a property that I think it's worth like $14 million, something like that. She owns a property on stolen land. So now they're going to court over it based on her statement. This is why you should never listen to celebrities. They're only in it to make money. They're only in it to make money and create their stats. She has no idea about 9/11, how it was an inside job. She was not even born. She was still in her mother's womb before that happened. I woke up before I went to work. I woke up before I went to work, and I woke up because a lot of the time my TV's off right now. I wake up to the TV. I fall asleep to the TV a lot, and that's kind of the way I fall asleep. There, I was used to, and I still am used to kind of doing that way. But I fell asleep, and I woke up in the morning, and it was like nine something a.m., which is ironical because it happened in September 11th. which is 911, which is not, it wasn't, who terrorizes the twin towers on 9/11? That means it was like they're mocking everyone. That's 911, 9/11. And uh and I woke up and I saw these buildings that were on fire on top. One of them hit, and then the next so-called airplane hit the next tower, which there were no planes, by the way. Um, that was all CGI, computer generated images. Because if you study, if you look into how buildings are built, especially towers like that, that was 100. I think it was 116 stories. Now, when you, or it doesn't matter. Maybe I got the math wrong, but it's over 100 stories. Iron is like, what is it? 2 feet thick, 2 feet thick in square, on all the way up on four corners, and then all the way on every floor, 4 by 4, 2 by 2, whatever. They go all the way up. Planes cannot melt or break steel, iron steel, that hard. You have to look at experiments to see that planes, demo- there was no debris of those planes because there were no planes. It was demolition. And if you look at the footage, the real news footage that was on the floor, that was on the ground when they were interviewing people, I can go back to it, but I'm not going to because I already know this. They were saying, oh, I heard boom, boom. I heard like bombs, like boom, 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 and that's what a demolition is. There's dynamites that destroy iron, and it went straight down, right? It went straight down. Now, if and I've talked about this before, if you chop a tree down on one side, right, it's gonna turn whatever weak side that you're chopping it in, it's gonna turn in that weak side and fall on that weak side. It's that simple. Why didn't those towers fall on that weak side? No, it went straight down. You know why? Because it was a demolition. Now, back to and I'm mentioning that because it's adamant to me that logically speaking, uh, people watch the news and they're brainwashed by what they listen, and they can't logically discern or think for themselves and say, "Wait, what's wrong with this picture?" Maybe they're not You don't even have to be intelligent. You just have to think logical, have common sense. That's it. Now, Billie Eilish said she was born in 19, what was it, 1981 or something like that. She's 24 years old, and so she was born in 2001 December something, after 9/11. So she has no idea what I'm talking about. So why would she mention anything about you cannot say immigrants can't live on stolen land? Well, wait, hold on. You missed like 200 years. I wasn't born during slavery. I'm not black, and there were white slaves according to the history, to certain history. So, uh, you know, you can't. This is why I never watch like the Oscars anymore. I never watch the Grammys. I don't watch the national news. If I hear anything about the news, it's either on YouTube, because I watch YouTube channels, or I make my own creations like I am right now, speaking about these sort of things. And celebs who are rich just sing, play music. That's it. the whole political forum that you try to be in, be careful because common people like myself will call you out. And when I say common person, I'm not a celeb. I don't make millions. I'm poor, right? But if you start making statements and when you're rich and you make a statement that say immigrants, there are no immigrants on stolen land, then your land is on it's on the hook. You're on the hook now. A government you're a witness to your own statement because we live in a government system now. We have always lived in a government system here in America, in the United States. When you make a comment like that, now your own land that you own, right? $14 million, you're going to court now. And it's just that's cool. Do your job. I have to work later, so it's cool. No worries. I'm glad you chimed in for a bit. Um, yeah, Pinky Twinkie is somebody I've known for a long time. We've talked for hours on the phone. Um, there's some things that we don't agree with. She's religious. I'm not, but I can go on and on with that with not just her, but with other people. But the point that I'm trying to make is that if you're gonna, when you're a celebrity and you go out in public on with a microphone on national TV and say a big statement like that, there are no immigrants on stolen land when you own a piece of that land. Think how crazy and illogical that is when she's a millionaire. She's being fired all over the place now. She was going to do this Disney movie and all that. Gone. And and I can go on about Disney because Disney is about pedophilia and getting kids to they're provoking kids to go into that, and then the Epstein files are coming out and all these people are being exposed finally. Jeez. And you know what, the crazy thing that people don't realize is that there's not one Epstein. There's going to be, whenever there's a father of something like that, so to speak, there's somebody else coming up, especially in Freemasonry and the Illuminati and the satanic world mentality that they live in. There will always be somebody to take over. Pizzagate, for example, pizza, and they went over the Epstein messages, always talking about pizza, and I want a cheese pizza and all that. It always means boys or girls and stuff like that. It's disgusting, right? And and that's on a human trafficking huge worldwide scale. I mean, it's not just Americans. It's everywhere. It's all over this place this earth that we live in. So, but it's finally, the good thing is it's finally being exposed in public so that people that watch the news and they say, "Oh, I believe in everything that they say because they're smarter than I am." No, you just stop thinking logically or for your own self. You can't discern for yourself what's right and what's wrong. Kids can say, "Hey, you hit her. You shouldn't hit her." Right? You shouldn't touch me there. That's what kids say. The kids say, "Don't touch me there," or "Don't hurt me," or it's kids are logical. If when they cry because they're either in pain, they're hungry, or one of those two, or they're sad. When they're happy, they laugh. And adults, moms, dads, mothers are number one in the family, in my opinion, because they are the um, caregivers of that child when they're born. In the thing for me is like my mother is wonderful. Okay, she's made mistakes. I know that. I've called her out on it, but mothers are the number one for me, because my I guess maybe it's because my father is wasn't he was not even at least 50%. He was below 50% of a father. I mean, he provided as money, but he abused me. He physically abused me and verbally abused me. So for me, that's why if he was a great father, I would have said they're both great. But no, my mother actually saved my life many times. And a mother is number one in the family to me, because that baby, whether it's a boy or a girl, comes out of her womb, meaning that baby was inside of her throughout that term. So she felt that baby through the whole term. So when it came out, it was like greatness. It was beautiful, right? That's why I believe that mothers are number one in the family, as long as they don't get dehumanized by a man, you know. And for example, sex, right? Sex is feels good, right? But that doesn't it shouldn't say I want sex over my child. Don't choose a man over your child, right? I've heard of it, I've seen it, and it's disgusting. A woman should always treat her child as not her man, but as her kin, meaning as her child, and say, "This, I want to make sure that my child is going to grow up as part of me, like when he or she was a part of me inside of me." And when that happens, it's beautiful. I've seen so many nieces and nephews grow up beautifully for that reason alone. You know, I've seen men abuse women within the family, and they leave, but the mother still takes care or loves her kids. A good mother will always do that. So anyway, you know, I'm just, I'm speaking truth. I'm speaking what I hope other people think of as a good positive truth for for yourself or for other people or for kids in general, because as people might know or not know, I was a counselor. So I treated families therapeutically to re kindle their love for each other. And the truth is, sometimes it was hopeless because the father was so angry and so drunk or so abusive, or it could have been the mother, and she was so attached to the abuse that they couldn't get away from it. And then who suffers? The kids. And those kind of scenarios or situations are horrible. So yeah. So anyway, back to Billie Eilish and anybody else who makes those kind of comments. Stolen land. Yes, it was stolen. People here were raped. I wasn't born yet. People here were raped and killed for this land. And that happened in Mexico. That happened in Canada. That happened in Russia, Germany. It happened in all these countries, right? I'm not going to name every single country, but it happens everywhere. But people who don't know the history of it, and you're, you know, who, who are what kind of statement is that from her? What is she trying to gain? Nothing. She's just trying to gain more money. She doesn't go out on the street and protest. or say something out in the street, she's rich. She doesn't give a shit. Excuse my language, but it's true. And now she is a witness to her own statement on her own land, who is they're going to court saying this was our land and this is stolen and you need to give our land back. So now she's on the hook. Be careful when you make statements like that and you're rich, your people are going to come after you because truthfully, okay, for example, I live in Illinois, right? Illinois is a Indian word, and a lot of the places in Wisconsin, like Chickasaw and um, um, Kenosha and all those, they're actually Indian words. Chicago was another word that was changed from an Indian word. American, well, now they call them American Indians, but they were, they're basically they were just indigenous people living on this land. So anyway, uh, yeah, I'm getting upset. So anyway, I just thought I'd let my frustrations out for a bit. But making a statement like that, I know, like when I'll just end it this way. In my own life experience, I remember reading about Christopher Columbus in history in school when I was in like whatever, sixth or seventh grade, and even younger. But eventually, I spoke out in the classroom, and it said Christopher Columbus discovered America, and then I turned the pages back, and it said, but the Indians were living here. And I asked the teacher, but how did he discover when there was Indians living here already? And people laughed. The kids laughed. I don't know if they were laughing at me or whatever, but she dismissed it like it was nothing. But I was legitimately asking a question, which you can't answer that question because it's false. It's false history. There were people living here before Christopher Columbus. But you know what? You have to eventually understand that we live in a government system now. This is a government system. So when you're born, you have a birth certificate. Then, if you want to work or have a job, which most people do, then you need a social security number, which is your tax ID number or whatever they want to call it. If you're not a born citizen, American citizen, then once you get that number, then they say, okay, well, you're eligible to be employed to have a job. And then if you want to drive, then you get a license from your birth certificate and your social, and then they give you a driver's license, which means you can buy a car, drive, all that, which means now you are part of the government system. You have to abide by every rule that happens in this country. So that's it's that simple. I mean, I can't, unless I go to the jungle or go in the woods and live there and live off grid without my laptop and all that, and throw away my phone and all that, then I'm part of I'm still part of the system. So anyway, Billie Eilish, I hope you get your property taken away because you're a witness to your own court lawsuit that's coming to you. You're a witness to your own lawsuit that's coming to you. You are living on stolen land, so give it back. Take care all. Take care of yourselves and have a great day.